In this video, we're going to rank not only all the Ray Gun Mark IIs, but also all the other wonder weapons on Shattered Veil to find out which one is actually the best, but we're going to separate it into the following categories. Number 1, how good they are versus map enemies, so that's normals, specials, and elites. 2, how easy it is to build. 3, how good it is versus the boss. 4, stratability and high rounds. And then 5, vibes. And then we'll combine all of the scores at the end to get the ultimate rankings. Category 1, how good they are versus map enemies. The green Mark II. This hits like a truck even when it's not pack-a-punched. It's really solid and usable for killing a zombie here and there, even on round 40 plus. The problem though is that it feels very spammable because it's that 3-round burst, so your 42 round mag and your 201 round reserve actually only works out to a total of 82 shots before you're out of ammo completely. And so especially on specials and elites, you don't really stand that much of a chance. So I give it a 6 out of 10. The blue Ray Gun Mark II. This is the super fast fire rate SMG variant, and it starts to fix some of the ammo problem because you end up with a 50 round mag and 350 in reserve, but you're no longer doing your 3-round burst. This means it rarely runs out of ammo, which means it's great for spraying hordes at any round. And you can also hip fire up close and still hit a ton of crits, or you can be decently accurate with it at medium range. This means that not only the ammo problem is sort of improved, but it also does better against specials and elites. So here's me using it against a Disciple, for example, and if you use it on Doppelghasts as well, it will take them out in just a few shots. The drawback, though, on this one is that its special ability, which it's supposed to get from being upgraded, is kind of meaningless in my experience. So it's meant to be Wraithfire, right? And from what I understand, that activates randomly when you're shooting, and then it drops a little fire puddle, and then zombies get ignited, but it doesn't really seem to change the gameplay all that much. So as a passive, I don't really change my strat to build around it. And that's not the end of the world, but it does stop this, I think, from being a 10 out of 10. So I'd give this one a 9. The yellow Mark II. This is the slow fire rate marksman variant of the Mark II. It's got a good amount of ammo with a 30 round mag and 180 in reserve, and it has good penetration, so you kind of get more bang for your buck with all of those shots. But the downside, I suppose, is that it's not spammable, right? You have to have good aim with this, and so as much as it is still fun to hip fire it up close, you're gonna get a lot more value if you're hitting those headshots every single time. So it's a bit more awkward to use than the blue, but it makes up for that by having a really kick-ass special ability. So this will activate randomly when you shoot zombies and drop a toxic puddle on the ground that deals loads of damage to anything that touches it. This means you can even wreck the amalgam in the liminal space with the toxic puddle, or you can use it on any other enemies in the map, and it lasts a really long time, like 30 seconds or something, and it doesn't have a crazy long cooldown to proc, so this brings up its score a huge amount and means you can start to craft your strat a bit around using that toxic puddle, and you'll do some crazy damage. So I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10, even though it's a bit more fiddly to use. The purple Mark II. This is the moderate fire rate shotgun. It's got an 18 round mag and 144 in reserve, so again, decent ammo. It doesn't have terrible range, despite the fact that it's a shotgun, and it demolishes big zombies. So if you need something to take out anything chunky, it's good. And it's also really fun to hip fire, so it gets some bonus points in the fun department. The special ability on this one is that you get a little glyph on the floor that lasts a few seconds, and while standing in it, you're invulnerable until you leave the circle, or until it runs out of time. And so if you're camping, sure, you can kind of use this, but the problem is that most of the time in zombies, we're not camping, we're moving around. So I'd say the special ability doesn't have a huge amount of value, and so all things considered, it's got good overall DPS, this one, and it's fun to use, but the special's a little weaker, so let's put this at a 7 out of 10 for how good it is versus enemies. The OG ray gun. This one's fine, I guess. I mean, we've all used this. It's just a ray gun. It does AoE damage. You probably want to have PhD flopper. You shoot the ground with it. A couple zombies are going to take damage. They'll die after getting hit a couple more times. It makes a lot of crawlers, and it's actually really nice with double tap, but I'd just rate it as fine. It's nothing special, and it's certainly nothing special against special zombies or elite zombies, and so for that reason, I give this one a 4 out of 10. the Wunderwaffe DG2. This is bonkers. This thing is insane against the map enemies. It's so much fun to electrocute hordes. It can stun elites, which makes a really big difference. It's not great for damage firing directly at a special or an elite, but over time it will tick them to death. And it also makes special rounds crazy easy because they all get staggered. You don't have to worry about getting blown up on, and you just sort of sit back and let the round pass. It's insane, this one. I give it a 10 out of 10 for how good it is versus map enemies. Our next category is how easy is it to build? The Green Mark II. If you're trying to get this one from the box, yeah, good luck. I spent 200k on the box, and I didn't get it till round 40, including 3 Wonder Bar uses, which is never a good feeling. So this one would lose points there if there was no way to build it, but luckily, the way to build it is incredibly easy. You basically just get a floppy disk, then you get a code, then you kill a Doppelgast, and you're done. And because that build quest is so easy, we're gonna rank this one a 10 out of 10. The only downside though, technically, is that if you did for some reason want to go back from an elemental upgrade to the base green Raygun Mark II, I don't know if that's possible. I think you can only switch to other elemental upgrades once you have an elemental upgrade on. The Blue Mark II. This one just makes me kind of mad, not gonna lie, because you have to do this whole abomination thing with the rocks, right? But the problem is the abomination never does what I want it to do. And then it's this awkward thing where when it does finally behave itself, maybe my timing is slightly wrong, so the lasers don't go on the rock, or it doesn't charge quite the right way, and it's just a little bit frustrating. And I think it's also worse in solo because you only get 1 abomination instead of 2, which you get in co-op. And when you have 2, you've basically just got double the chances of getting the thing you need at a given time. But with 1, like, if it decides it's not gonna laser for a while, then you're just screwed. The good news though is that you can, with some skill expression, make this a little easier. So for example, you can get the bomb to laser or charge 2 stones at once if you're really just cracked. And also, thankfully, once you've done the bomb bit, defending the pad from vermin is really easy. And I put it on 6 out of 10 for buildability. The Yellow Mark II. This requires you to find all the seed spawns in your game, and that means you're looking for random part spawns, which I am never a fan of. I think that having to just memorize those random locations instead of having a fixed spot where something is always better, but it is what it is. At least they're fairly easy to spot, and it's also nice that there's a variety of ways you can blow those plants up, so you can use Dragon's Breath on the ASG, you can use the Mark II itself, you can use Semtex, like there's all sorts of ways to do it, but then you get to the defending the seed step, and this is really weirdly easy to get overwhelmed on, or the solution to getting overwhelmed is just to make it take quite a long time, because 1 seed is pretty easy to defend, right? So if you want to speed this up, maybe you try and do 2 seeds at once, but then you really do risk having the seed get attacked and having to wait a whole round. And if you just do them 1 by 1, you're gonna then end up going quite a long time in that conservatory before you actually finish. So I'm not a huge fan of this one, and so overall, all things considered for this on how easy it is to build, I'd say it's probably down at a 4 out of 10. The Purple Mark II. I think the steps to build this one are actually really cool, except for having to find a white box and randomly getting a part out of it. That's never fun. It just means that instead of shooting zombies and sort of enjoying the game as normal, I basically just crank my neck down to the ground and start running around like a sniffer hound looking for that box. But it is what it is. Once you get the explosive, the room that you go into with it is super cool. I love the mirrors step as well. I think that's awesome. And it's also really not difficult. And if you mess it up, it's also easy to just reset and kind of correct yourself. And then when you're taking those Doppelgasts down, you've already got a Mark II at this point, presumably, so it's really easy to kill them. And honestly, I'm gonna give Purple some extra bonus points here, because when you get past building the weapon and you're doing the Josiah Shem Purple Liminal Space, that quest is also really easy and straightforward in my opinion, because the chalices don't move, you can take the disciples down very, very quickly, and you can get that done super fast, which makes other things in the map easier to do. Like anything that you need to do with Richtofen having already talked to you is fastest to do with Purple. And so Purple's got to gain some points there, right? So for this, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 on ease of building. The OG Ray Gun. For this, I was really unsure how to rank it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, because you can't build it. So I could just rank it as 0 for how easy it is to build, but in my experience, it always seems to show up whenever I use a Wonder Bar, even though it's not the thing that I'm looking for. So maybe it is a little bit more common, and maybe that basically counts as buildability. Then on top of that, you can get it as a vault reward, and it's quite often a vault reward as well. So if I was ranking it based on just how often it shows up in the map here, then I'd give it a pretty high rating. Like, honestly, maybe like an 8 out of 10. But because it's not something you can just guarantee super easily, I'm going to give it a really low ranking because you can't build it, and so it's going to come in at a 2. The Wunderwaffe DG2. This one is a bit annoying because you need to maybe think about your loadout weapon to make your life easier, and you have to do a bit of prep to then get that upgraded and get it ready to do the quest, and then you've got to actually bother to do all the steps of the quest, which uses up a ton of your ammo, so you then might need to buy ammo, and that's going to cost you money, which is just annoying, and it also takes a decent amount of time, and if you're in solo, then you're trying to do it with a zombie chasing you, which is also a little annoying, so it's fiddly. I think that that's probably the best way to describe it, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily painful to do or particularly difficult to do. It's just a little bit of faff. The main issue, in my opinion, is that you need to do all of that Raygun Mark II purple upgrade liminal space business I mentioned a minute ago in order to be able to even start here. So that's a lot of prep work, and for that reason it does lose points, even though the quest is really not that bad. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 for buildability. How good they are versus the boss. The Green Mark II. The raw boss damage from the Green Mark II is absolute dog water. It's gonna hit hundreds to the body and a low 1,000 for a crit, which is just trash, but luckily, it's actually kind of hard to bring the Green Mark II into the fight because at that point, you've already got all the elemental upgrades, so you need to have had somebody else doing the elemental stuff, and then you need to have kept your Mark II green and not switched to any element, which is just so unlikely, and that's why I spent 200k on it on the box and used 3 Wonder Bars to try and get it for testing for this video. But even though I don't really like the damage, it isn't the worst thing in the world, despite its shortcomings, because when you've got those zombies to pop on the boss, it is going to hit multiple of them at once with one burst, and it feels very easy to use to hit those parts of the dino as well. I think maybe it then does also lose points for running out of ammo fast, and so yeah, I mean, it's not great. Don't use this one. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. The Blue Mark II. This is my favorite for boss damage. To be honest, it's got 0 damage drop-off, so you can spray it from anywhere in the arena. It's got a super fast fire rate, so it's going to knock the boss down really quickly, and you can super easily hit the side green zombie patches on the dino for your easy damage. It's also great on the zombies in the arena, and it just feels really reliable to use, so I give this one a 10 out of 10. The Yellow Mark II. So the slow fire rate on this one should mean that it absolutely slaps the boss, right? Well, the problem is, even though its fire rate is down, Treyarch haven't really cranked its damage up. Non-crits are going to do under 3k damage, and crits will do over 10k, and 10k sounds pretty good, but hitting the eyes reliably with a slow fire rate weapon, and while the boss is moving around tons, is less than desirable, and if you're only hitting body shots, you're going to be doing significantly less DPS than, for example, the Blue Mark II. And you're getting significantly more frustration with the way you have to use it. This makes it feel like a massive chore. And not only that, but it sucks against the toxic zombies, and they're buffed for the fight, and this thing just can't really handle them. And I wish I could say that its redeeming factor is that toxic cloud that it can create, but the problem is that in the boss fight, that's just not useful. It really does so little in my experience, and so I'm sadly, for boss damage, going to rate this one a 4 out of 10. The Purple Mark II. This is super spammable, and as much as I thought that it would be completely unusable because of damage fall off, it's actually not. It does really good crit damage to the eyes, and its range is okay. but it does obviously fall off massively at long range. Thankfully, I think if you're smart, you can kind of take this into account as you plan how you're going to do the fight. So if you're in solo, you know that the boss is going to be closer to you generally because you're going to have less ways to evade it. And similarly, in co-op, in the later stages of the fight, the boss is definitely going to be really close to you because it doesn't stop running and jumping and trying to get at you. And so if you know the boss is going to be closer, maybe it makes sense in those moments to bring a weapon that does really well when the boss is closer, and that's the purple Mark II. So for this, I actually give it an 8 out of 10. The OG ray gun. For some reason, this has damage fall off, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's helped by having double tap, but it just doesn't deal great damage ever. And then you get range from the boss, like you get a little bit of breathing room, and then you've got damage fall off, and you're running out of ammo, and you're just like, why am I doing this to myself? So I give this one a 3 out of 10. The Wunderwaffe DG2. If you need ad clear in the boss fight, like if that's something you're struggling with, then yes, this is really good at wiping hordes, and you can use it to regen ammo in something like a war machine as long as you're using the right augment combos. So that means it's gonna wipe out a lot of the zombies in the area easily, but what about the boss? And well, I mean, if you need to use it in a pinch, it'll deal a good amount of boss damage to its body, and you can spray it pretty quickly as well. So for example, if you throw on Frenzied Guard, you can kind of do a little mini nuke by just spamming all your ammo, but it's never going to take the boss out on its own. And if you were to try that, it would suck. So for actual boss damage, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10. Our next category is Stratability / high round potential. The green Mark II. Like I said before, this hits like a truck, and it's got good penetration damage as well. It's just the ammo thing that's an issue. But even then, you can kind of hold a corner with this until around round 42, 43. But otherwise, I wouldn't say you can really camp with it, and you're definitely not taking it up to round 100. And because it hasn't got a special ability, you're really limited on the strats you can use with it, so I'd give this one a 5 out of 10. The blue Mark II. This one's okay, I guess, for the actual high round potential. I mean, it's gonna struggle, to be honest, whenever armored zombies start showing up in the 50s, because you can just no longer hip fire and win like you can in the lower rounds. And for that reason, I think this one actually comes in pretty low, even though it's fun to use, so I give it a 6 out of 10. The yellow Mark II. The slow fire rate on this is a bit annoying. In late rounds, you get a lot of armored zombies, and it's nice to have something that can basically nuke them pretty quickly. That's not really where this shines though. Where it shines is the special ability. You can basically sit in a corner and just never move for like 10 rounds straight, but unfortunately, again, it really falls off in the 40s. So I'm gonna give this one a 6 out of 10, because it still does gain a lot of fun points for being a great corner camping strat thing until it's no longer viable, but it's definitely not something that shines, I would say. The purple Mark II. Like the other Mark IIs, you can hold a corner until there's just too many armored zombies at high rounds. And I'd say that of all the elemental ray guns, this is probably the most fun one for trying to do that, especially if you're running circles and just demolishing stuff in front of you. But it is gonna fall off in the sort of 50s or so, I'd say, and make that pretty much impossible. And while having the occasional ability to take no damage from that invincibility glyph is nice, the actual chances of you using it in a strat are fairly low, so I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 10. But prove me wrong, come up with an invincibility strat and I'd love to see it. The OG ray gun. This one's tragic. Like, the ray gun was such a carry in Cold War, but this is not the Cold War ray gun, man. Like, it's okay, but I would trade this out for any other weapon on this list. Hell, I'd even trade it out for just papped GS45s, so this one's getting a 0 out of 10. The Wunderwaffe DG2. This kills everything, bro. Like, it's the high round strat on the map. It's the best gun on the map, in my opinion, period. And it's just simply him. Like, it's so good. So there's not a lot we need to say here. It gets a straight 10 out of 10. Next is our final category, and then we do the overall results. And the category is vibes. The green Mark II. It's got 10 out of 10 vibes. It's green. It's going to be on every map in Black Ops 6. It's a really solid weapon. I mean, I think the vibes on this one are really strong. I think it's a 10 out of 10. The blue Mark II. This one's got strong vibes as well. It's really versatile. It's a great overall pick, and it's the one that I kind of gravitate to pretty much every time I play, so strong vibes. Let's go for an 8 out of 10. the yellow Mark II. This one's a weird one to rank on vibes because before you realize you can build strats around the toxic puddle, it's got really bad vibes. You're just like, this feels like ass, bro. Like, why am I using this? But then when you do use the puddle, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I could see this being pretty fun. But also at the same time, like, is it me or is the yellow kind of gross looking? Like, that's just not a vibe, right? Like, it looks a bit sickly and just like, ugh. So, I don't know. I'm giving this 6 out of 10 on the vibe scale. The purple Mark II. This has great vibes. Such great vibes. Bro, shotguns that just wreck everything in front of you are always good times. And it's purple. It looks sick. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10. The OG ray gun. This, in my opinion, is ass. Like, I think the ray gun's name has really been stepped all over in Black Ops 6 because it used to be that you'd get the ray gun out of the box and you'd be like, oh my god, it's the best thing in the world. But now, I'll jump into matches with randoms, I'll drop them a ray gun to be generous, they don't even want it. Like, the vibes have been ruined. So, it's getting a 1 out of 10. The Wunderwaffe DG2. I mean, this is just cinema. It's absolute cinema. I have no bad words to say about this bad boy. The vibes are immaculate. I've always loved the Wunderwaffe, and unlike the OG ray gun, this thing is still that gun that you pull it from the box and you start screaming. So, yeah, vibes 10 out of 10. So it's time to add up our scores and see how everything ranks out of 50. Drumroll, please. And these are the results. I was actually pretty surprised that the green and blue weren't further away from each other. And it's also to see how close green and purple are. I think that one really comes down ultimately to personal preference. So it could flip around on the ranking depending on your playstyle or which one you like building more, etc. But this is how it ended up stacking up for me. And then the OG ray gun being in the absolute dumps makes perfect sense. And the Wunderwaffe being absolutely maxed out is also completely logical in my opinion. So let me know if you agree or disagree with the list. Thank you for watching, and if you want to use all these wonder weapons to beat the boss fight, I've got a big list of tips and tricks you can use linked on screen right now, which will mean you never get stepped on by that T-Rex ever again. So click through and I'll see you there.